From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Sitting in tonight in Washington, Ted Koppel.
Good evening. In the Soviet Union these days, the unbelievable has become commonplace. Simply consider what happened in Moscow today. Mikhail Gorbachev requested, and the Supreme Soviet passed, a resolution of no confidence in the National Cabinet of Ministers. Gorbachev's entire cabinet is out. The entire leadership of the KGB, dozens of members of the security agency's top administrative body, were all fired by Gorbachev today. And he ordered the establishment of an investigative committee to examine the KGB's activities. Prosecutors in Moscow today charged 13 men as ringleaders of last week's coup with treason. They could face the death penalty. As for the future, Jim Laurie reports from the Soviet capital.
Addressing Russians who had left the country long ago and were now back for a visit, Boris Yeltsin today tried to reassure the world about the future of the Soviet Union.
Events have happened so fast that some have the impression of panic here and general chaos. This is a mistake. The collapse of the Kremlin center does not mean the collapse of the country.
Yeltsin outlined his view of a new union of independent republics. We don't want a big Soviet government, he said, but only a small central coordinating body in Moscow. Yeltsin went on to voice support for Mikhail Gorbachev as president of that union. Gorbachev is expected to face tough opposition at next week's Congress of People's Deputies, but Yeltsin said, "We are working together." Later, Yeltsin denied allegations that Russia sought to redraw borders with neighboring republics.
If a republic leaves the Union, we must simply sit down and talk about the rights of our Russian people who live there, about borders, about everything, just like we would in any international relationship.
But concern in the Ukraine about relations with Russia prompted both Yeltsin and Gorbachev today to send delegations to Kiev for urgent talks over the future of the Union. Shortly after last week's coup, the Ukrainians had voted for full independence. At the Supreme Soviet, Mikhail Gorbachev sought to play down reports that Yeltsin was exercising too much power. Neither the Russian president nor I believe that is acceptable, he said. And as he left Parliament, Gorbachev expressed his hope the crisis in the Ukraine could soon be solved.
We must avoid any misunderstandings. There are many emotions, and many there want extra assurances.
Both Gorbachev and Yeltsin realize relations with Ukraine are critical. Next to Russia, it's the richest and most vital republic, and any Soviet Union without it would be severely diminished. Jim Laurie, ABC News, Moscow.
The people of the Ukraine are very much aware of their importance to the Soviet Union. They are also more than a little nervous about what the Russian Republic might do if the Ukraine does leave the Union. ABC's Jim Bitterman is in the Ukrainian capital of Kiev.
In front of the Ukrainian parliament in Kiev this afternoon, the arguing went on and on. The Republic declared its independence from the Soviet Union Saturday. But now the debate is about how independent it should be. You don't understand what the Soviet Union means to us, one man said. It's a jail. But another, among the 1 in 5 Ukrainian residents who is of Russian background, saw it differently.
The Ukraine must stay within the Soviet Union. Only with the help of Russia can the Ukraine defeat communism.
The appearance of the special delegation sent here from Moscow did little to calm independent-minded Ukrainians who gathered to protest suggestions that Russia might want to take away some Ukrainian territory if the Republic leaves the Soviet Union. We like Democrats, one poster said in reference to Boris Yeltsin, but not Russian imperial chauvinists. One young man taped up another reading, "No to slaveholders from Russia."
Many of these people you see here, they think that Yeltsin really has become sort of a substitute to the former Russian Tsars and Russian leaders.
The threat, Mrs. Svetlana Polishuk said, is that a big Russia will just substitute its control for the Soviet Union. But the tension between Russia and the Ukraine relates to more than just politics. The Ukraine has taken the first step toward establishing an independent economy by, among other things, creating a coupon system which only permits Ukrainians to buy Ukrainian goods. And some here advocate the Republic should start charging world prices for grain and other vital products exported to other Soviet republics. Militarily, the Ukrainian parliament has declared that the 1.5 million Soviet soldiers based here should report to Ukrainian authorities. While differences have always existed between the republics here, just days after the Kremlin Central Authority crumbled, the Soviet Union's two most important republics now openly mistrust each other. Mistrust which may in the end present the greatest danger as the Soviet Union spins apart. Jim Bitterman, ABC News, Kiev.
Mr. Gorbachev today named a new foreign minister, Boris Pankin, who had been the Kremlin's ambassador to Czechoslovakia. The news caught just about everyone by surprise, including the old foreign minister, Alexander Besmertnik. Speaking to us from Moscow this afternoon, Besmertnik said he had expected Eduard Shevardnadze to take the job again. I asked Besmertnik to give me a thumbnail sketch of the new man running Soviet foreign policy.
Well, if it's true, that will be a different kind of man in the foreign ministry, a political man, a man from party background and a good Komsomol member with a lot of friends in those circles. He was a pretty nice ambassador in Sweden and somewhat better ambassador to Prague. But we don't know him very well because he's not a professional diplomat. So, but he's a likable guy, and I hope if he is really appointed, he could be helpful.
That seems kind of curious, doesn't it? That Gorbachev would appoint a guy who in effect is one of the old apparatchiks.
Well, he did a lot of job over there, but he has been brilliant within the last few days. He declared that he's against the coup d'etat, and he signed a little declaration which was published everywhere. So he's very popular now, and that could be the case.
Alexander Besmertnik and Henry Kissinger will be discussing the new dangers of nuclear accidents in the Soviet Union tonight on Nightline. We'll have more from the Soviet Union in a moment, how the drive for independence is being received in the smaller towns. Also, a deadly subway accident in New York City. And on the American agenda, encouraging girls to pursue careers in math and science.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, brought to you by Dairy Ease.
The Soviet republics draw up plans for the future. Their desire for independence is not always mirrored in the countryside. Take the Republic of Byelorussia, for example. The government has declared independence, but not everyone is convinced that that is a good idea. ABC's John Donovan is in Byelorussia.
There are advantages to living in a town like Oshmiany in the middle of Soviet farm country. The tempo of life is easy, no traffic jams or crowds, and though you still sometimes wait in line to buy food, the supply is better than in Moscow. What is in short supply here is the clamor for revolutionary change heard in the big cities. Lenin in bronze still commands the square outside Town Hall. And while the Communist Party headquarters behind him was shut down 2 days ago, it was the central government of this republic that demanded it, not the people of Oshmiany. Not that those who live here regret the passing of communism. Vladimir Prokopchik, a gym teacher, said, "What did the party give us? Why, among the communists, were there traitors?" But he is totally against the breakup of the Soviet Union. And we were surprised to hear him praising Mikhail Gorbachev. He should be allowed to finish what he started, he said. A 19-year-old, Andrei Kuzhena, told us the same thing over his garden fence. He hung a picture of Gorbachev on the back door 2 years ago and says he is still the nation's most progressive leader.
At one point, he allowed too much democracy, and people started saying anything they wanted, forgetting who let them speak freely in the first place.
There are hardships here. The department store shelves are as empty as in Moscow. But people in this town do not yet seem comfortable complaining in public. "We're just peasants here," said this man when we asked his views. "We're not so well educated." The sort of safe answer often given when someone else might be listening. In fact, our interviews were interrupted by police in an unmarked car, who left us alone at first but returned later, detaining us for an hour and a half of questioning. As for Oshmiany's statue of Lenin, there has been some talk of moving it. But Vladimir Prokopchik, for one, says it should stay put. Does it hurt anyone, he asked. Is it in anyone's way? John Donovan, ABC News, Oshmiany, Belarusia.
Several changes in the Soviet media. Television viewers got a surprise this evening when they turned on the daily newscast Vremya. The program had changed drastically. Here's ABC's Jim Hickey.
The opening sequence to Vremya was familiar, not only to Soviets, but to many Americans as well, often seen in U.S. news reports. But this is what Soviet viewers saw and heard at 9 o'clock tonight.
Здравствуйте.
Hello. There will be no more official Vremya graphics. Even the program will change its name.
The correspondent who announced the sudden change was Alexander Tikhomirov. He and several others had been fired 5 months ago after protesting the Soviet military crackdown in Lithuania by refusing to report it. They were all called back today by the new reform-minded radio and TV chairman, Yegor Yakovlev. The meeting itself was covered during the broadcast.
I have asked you here not as your chairman, but as a viewer who missed you very much. I would like for you to be back on the screen again.
And so they were, less than 3 hours later. So fast, some were caught putting on makeup.
Добрый вечер.
Popular anchorwoman Tatyana Mikova was remarkable in her frankness.
В прямом эфире. Мы сейчас очень волнуемся.
We are very nervous. We had very little time to get ready. I think you will forgive us our mistakes, but we are glad that we are together again.
They promised to tell the truth, as they said they tried to do before. Jim Hickey, ABC News, Moscow.
Rune Arley.